What's up, everyone? Thrift Barringer here on the road with Sportsvisions. Third day of SEC Media Days here at the Omni Hotel College Football Hall of Fame. Big Rich here as this is our final day here. And, man, it's been a great time at SEC Media Days, Rich.
It has been a fantastic day. I mean, we had 4 teams today, starting with Alabama. We just got finished with Florida and Oklahoma in the afternoon. And I know that we're not going to be here tomorrow, but we got 4 more teams tomorrow. We've got Missouri, Kentucky, Texas A&M, and Arkansas. And I know it's just been a huge success. A lot of media members, getting the feel of going on Digital Drive and just checking out all the media outlets and just talking to people in the workroom. I like to call it the war room because all the TV stations are actually on their computers, just making sure to get the deadline out, making sure that everything goes smooth. And what a huge success here in Atlanta.
Yeah, very much so, man. And thank you again to DJ Jones, who was in New Orleans, Tulane, for the NFLPA Trust Brain and Body Assessment. And we can't wait to hear about his experience tomorrow live, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Sportsvisions 92.1 FM. Follow us on Facebook, like, and subscribe to Instagram and, of course, YouTube. And download that Sportsvisions radio app right now. Our lineup every weekday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. We kick you off from 9 to 12. It's Dan Patrick. From 12 to 3 is Colin Coward. And then, of course, Paul Feinbaum, which we were able to see him several times, part of the Sportsvisions lineup. All right, Rich, let's go ahead. Day number 3. We started off with Alabama and Kalen DeBoer in the main media room. What were questions that were answered for you here today with Alabama?
Well, just that tough schedule that they had last year, losing all those games on the road. Well, they get those opponents at home. Alabama is going to be fine. I was looking at the team they're bringing back. Great recruiting class. I believe that Ty Simpson is the guy. I know he's a different quarterback than Jalen Milroe, but they have probably the best athlete I've ever seen in college football in Ryan Williams. This kid is a freak. You saw what he did against Georgia. He was just putting up video game moves. I mean, this is something that just doesn't feel like somebody that's human is capable of doing what Ryan Williams does. And Cade Proctor, what can you say about one of the best offensive linemen in the entire country? I think Alabama's going to be fine. Those 2 games on the road, they're tough. At Georgia, at Auburn. But they also have to go to South Carolina. But Alabama in very good shape. I was very impressed with Coach DeBoer and his message. And he's bringing Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator from the Seattle Seahawks. I think that's a huge difference because, you look at Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb. They had just a relationship at Washington. He was supposed to be the offensive coordinator, but now he's going to be back.
This was the guy that was supposed to be the offensive coordinator. Remember, they went to the NFL, did a great job with Seattle, got Geno Smith paid, and now he's back in college football as the offensive coordinator for Alabama. I think this was a big-time hire for him. Huge. Offensively, though, really didn't question much of Alabama except for that Oklahoma game. Defensively, do they have what it takes? And that's really weird to say about Alabama program, but I'm with you. Ty Simpson seems like he has what it takes, according to Kalen DeBoer, to be successful in the SEC. And now it's just putting all the pieces together. When we were able to talk with Josh Pate, he's part of our lineup here today in Day 3 recap, he made mention of how high he is on this Alabama Crimson Tide football staff. So I think questions were answered in regards to his confidence in Ty Simpson. And if the defense can play at a level consistently like we've seen in the past with Alabama, they're going to be one of the top teams and maybe one of the favorites going into this year to win a championship. Some of the other teams we had today were Florida, Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby, Billy Napier. We'll talk about that in just a second. And then, of course, we also had
Brent Venables
in Oklahoma, who we just heard from. And Richard was able to ask the question. Mississippi State, 2-10, obviously coming in as one of the teams that I think many people are projecting again to be one of the worst teams in the SEC next year.
Yeah, but they're looking to improve. I mean, they got to win those non-conference games. Yeah. Mississippi State knows Jeff Lebby, a tough situation in his second year, taking over for the late Mike Leach. I mean, that is very hard to have that transition to go from.
Well, he actually took over from Coach Arnett.
He was the interim coach, but
and then it didn't work out. He got fired after a year, and then of course happened. Now having Jeff Lebby. Let's talk about the other two. I was able to get in the main media room and ask a question to Florida's Billy Napier. Obviously, this is no a hidden secret. he was able to overcome all the adversity he's had in the first 3 years of the program at Florida. Many people, including myself, had him fired. And then they went on that 4-game winning streak. They beat LSU, they beat Ole Miss, and they ended up finishing 8-5 last year. So Napier, I think, is now with DJ Lagway, has a team, just a tough schedule, but has a team that could be competitive in the SEC. And I think that he definitely resurrected his job. I asked him, though, about his brother, Matt Napier, who is the head coach of LaGrange High School, lost in the semifinals last year, and how important relationships are with head coaches at a school like Florida with high school coaches. He said it is imperative, especially now with NIL and the development, and how we got to make sure our kids are prepared to take on the world that is becoming college football today. So glad I was able to ask him a question. And then later on this afternoon, Richard, you were able to ask in the electronic room, a little bit smaller setting, to Brent Venables. And that was awesome for you, being able to ask him about his first year in the SEC, in which Oklahoma finished 500.
Yeah, it was a loaded question. You talk about Oklahoma going from 10-3 to the Big 12 to going 6-7. Remember, when they beat Alabama, that got them bowl eligible. They lose to LSU and they lose to Navy in the bowl game. But I thought it was a good year for Oklahoma because they was learning the competitiveness of the SEC. But those wins that they are trying to get, they're going to eventually come, because Norman is a tough place to play. Auburn, what a reunion that's going to be. Jackson Arnold going back to Norman, as Auburn's going to face Oklahoma. I think that Oklahoma has, of course, the Red River rivalry. That is a huge rivalry game. I think that Oklahoma fans are excited that they're being featured in the SEC. I know that the wins will eventually come, but yeah, tough first year in the SEC, going 6-7.
Yeah, most definitely on that. So had a lot of fun in day number 3. And guess what? We were able to interview Josh Pate, the biggest name in college football right now. He was here, of course, covering for CBS. I was able to talk about him and his local, being from the Columbus area, me and him getting to work with each other at Columbus State 10 years ago. Actually,
wow,
12
I can't
years
believe
ago
that.
now, before Pate became Josh Pate he is today. Love getting his personal touch. We asked the 3 major questions: Auburn, Georgia, and Oklahoma. And then afterwards, you're going to see an interview Richard did with Jake Crain and Crain and Company in Nashville, another local guy that has become national from Opelika as a baseball coach. So 2 guys that come from our area that have made it big. We wanted to make sure we got in front of them, and glad they got to be a part of On the Road with Sportsvisions right here on Sportsvisions 92.1 FM. And then when we get back from break after those 2, we'll wrap it up here. Day number 3, our last day of SEC Media Days 2025 here at the Omni Hotel College Football Hall of Fame. We'll be right back after this on Sportsvisions On the Road.
Hello, everybody. This is DJ Jones with the Sportsvisions Morning Show for the best in local, regional, and national sports news. Weekdays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
You can find the Sportsvisions Morning Show on Facebook, YouTube. Also, you can listen to us on Apple and Spotify by typing in the Sportsvisions Morning Show, and download the Sportsvisions radio app right now in your app store today.
Sportsvisions 92.1. We are your hometown sports guys.
What's up, everybody? Thrift Barringer here, Sportsvisions On the Road, Sportsvisions 92.1 FM, and I am with him. The biggest name in college football. His name is Josh Pate, locally from our area. Josh, thank you so much for the time,
yes,
man.
Sir. Happy to be here.
All right, first things first, man. How has this ride been for you? Because I'm going back personally, me and you, 2013, Friday Night Sports Focus, late night on a Friday at Columbus State University. From that moment until now, how's this ride been for you, man?
It's been a very quick, long journey, I guess is the way I would describe it.
Right.
If you've just consumed sports from 2013 to 2025, you've changed everything about how you consume them.
Right.
So imagine being inside of it, and imagine trying to make a career out of it, and
right.
trying to stay not on the wave, but a little bit ahead of the wave. It's been a blessing to come along in this era, because the barriers of like overhead and distribution have
right.
sort of been broken down a little bit because of what the internet has done,
right?
What streaming has done, what podcasting has done. Now the trade-off to that is, like, we're at an event right now where a lot of the people working in sports information departments have been there a long time.
Right.
So they come to these events, and you got all these internet guys that would not have been around 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, you better be working to a standard that gains their respect.
Right.
You gain that respect, and you gain the trust. You get the access. You have relationships to coaches. At that point, you're providing a product just on a different platform.
Right.
The likes of which you used to only expect from about 3 or 4 platforms in the entire world.
Right.
And that's how you take advantage of the opportunity.
Well, Josh, being ahead of the curve, you knew this, what was it, 10 years ago, maybe a little less than that, knowing where media was heading. Terrestrial TV and radio, I'm not saying it's all the way dead, but you see the changing of the landscape, especially with the streaming. How did you know? Where did that insight come from? Something from you doing research? Did someone put a bug in your head? How did you know this is where media was heading?
Well, I mean, I go back to the 2 barriers. So let's just back up. If you're me and you're in 2011, 2012,
yep.
I'm looking on my wall. There's no journalism degree from Syracuse on my wall.
No.
And I'm looking at my family. I don't have an uncle who runs production for ESPN. I don't have a dad who works for Fox Sports. So I don't have the traditional conveyor belts with which I watched a lot of people getting into the business.
Right.
All right. It was at that time the truth that you had to have overhead, meaning big fancy studios and multi-million-dollar production equipment.
Right.
And you had to have distribution, which means a network that would let you be seen in Miami at the same time in Seattle, at the same time in LA, at the same time in New York.
Right.
And if you didn't have those 2 things, you weren't really doing a national version of anything. And the day that I think I was actually sitting in the weather center over at WLTZ after a newscast, and there was a monitor in the background. I'm talking to our chief meteorologist. There was a monitor in the background. I saw a Facebook Live stream, which I didn't know it had happened yet.
Right.
I asked him, what is that? And he said, Facebook's letting people do live today. Well, that was light bulb moment.
Yep.
Because that means the internet is now overhead and distribution.
Yep.
Because there's a studio on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
The studio is whatever room you're in.
Right.
The distribution is the internet. The internet goes all around the world.
Right.
So theoretically, someone in Thailand and someone in Theodore, Alabama could both be watching me. At that point, it's up to you.
Right.
And so you want to bet on yourself, like that sounds all well and good. If you're really cut out to do it, the barriers were broken down. That's what was obvious to me.
Right.
Everything else was a blur. There was still a lot of fog off in the distance. That part was obvious.
We're live from SEC Media Days here at the College Football Hall of Fame. Sportsvisions on the road, Sportsvision 92.1 FM. Josh, we like asking about mentors. I got to let you shout out some people, especially in our local area, that really had a part in you growing to the broadcaster you've become today, man.
Well, I grew up watching Dave Plata every night, just like everyone else. In
Still
Columbus
kicking,
did.
by the way, baby.
Absolutely. But I'll tell you this: Dr. Danny Gibson over at CSU,
yes,
was probably someone who fought harder to just like kick me along, not just push, but kick me along.
Right.
Maybe when I didn't necessarily display the motivation to do it myself.
Right.
And I was sat with her a couple of weeks ago and retold this story from my now wife to hear.
Yeah.
Some of it was humiliating, some of it was happy, but you look back and you always do the what if game.
Right.
If you get bad breaks in life, and we all get them, never apologize for the good breaks. And she was one of the very good breaks I had, and someone who I can't guarantee I would have become the person or being in the place I am today had she not been in the place she was.
Right.
At that point. You get back in school, you get your degree, probably more importantly for me,
right,
you get exposure and you get repetition.
No doubt.
And you parlay that.
Man, I will tell you personally, going back to that Friday Night Sports Focus, part of Columbus State Cougar Radio back in the day, Josh humbled me more than I've ever been humbled, and it was the best thing that's ever happened to me, Josh. I'm being honest with you. Because at that time, at 21 years old, I thought I knew everything. I didn't need anyone telling me otherwise. And to be humbled and be brought back down and know that, hey, you got to work your butt off to get where you want to be. I really do appreciate you and all those conversations, the train story that you were used to tell me, man. I love every second of it. From the window guy, you got to treat everyone the same, every job the same. Mm-hmm. And then if you do that, as you continue to progress, things will work out for you. All right, let's talk about the three schools that matter to us specifically, man. We'll start with Auburn. What did you learn from Hugh Freeze yesterday, and what's your biggest questions going into the season?
Question is, can you limit turnovers? Very simple, because otherwise they can win games. They would have won games last year had they limited turnovers. And, hey, nice bonus, maybe even B+ in the turnover column. The other part, though, is he has not shied away an inch from expectation, which I respect. Now, if you're 10-2, at the end of November, right? It sounds great. It sounds prophetic.
You're in the conversation.
Yeah, you're sitting here saying, I should be in the playoff, and then you're in the playoff.
Right.
If you're 6-6, you may be out of a job, but at the very worst, people are throwing those clips back at you in the end of November. So I just respect that he understands what everyone already knows anyway. It's best if everything's unspoken but known, just go ahead and be the one to speak it. They don't chase you if you don't run. So he got here and He got here at 9 o'clock. At 9:05 a.m., we ought to be in the playoffs.
Right.
And I agree with him. By year 3 and beyond, the head coach at Auburn, no matter what he inherited, ought to have his team in position to do that.
Now, with Georgia, I don't think you question about the skill set, the talent, the depth, any of that. When it comes to Kirby Smart, he's proven it. What about off-the-field issues? Do you think that has become a issue, especially for the season, when they're constantly worrying about turnover or kids getting arrested? You think that is your biggest question, or what would it be for Georgia heading into this year?
It's actually not a question at all for me. I've never even viewed them as having a culture problem
Right.
competitively.
Right.
The off-the-field stuff, I mean, there's just egregious mistake after mistake when you're talking about the driving-related arrests.
Right.
No one's making excuses for that. I'm just saying, if anyone thought that was this early indicator that the program itself was going to implode, that was never happening.
Right.
And I'm around there enough to tell you, that's rock solid culture. And
Right.
competitively, it's internally a knife fight every day to hold on to your job. So I looked at them last year. I didn't think they'd be as good as their normal selves, and they weren't. Still won the SEC. And so I'm looking at them this year. It's the same questions. Can you run the ball to your standard?
Right.
Can you play defense to your standard? If you can, you don't need a Heisman caliber quarterback. I mean, we're living in an era where not 3 or 4 years ago, a guy named Stetson Bennett won 2 titles there.
Right.
And they did everything they can to find someone to start above him.
Right.
And that was Kirby Smart's own admission afterwards. He said, we had to get out of our own way to end up playing him. So Gunnar Stockton, that's everyone's question. If he is surrounded by functional pieces, by Georgia standards, they'll be okay.
Now, I'm going to say with Alabama, my biggest question is, does Kalen DeBoer know how to win at a consistent basis in the SEC? You saw last year the 3 losses to Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. What are your questions heading into year 2 under the Kalen DeBoer era?
Yeah, mine are more specific. I've got no doubt he can win. I think they and Georgia may have the 2 best staffs overall in the SEC.
So you're high on Ryan Grubb and what he's done this offseason.
Extremely high on Ryan Grubb. And he's not the only one there. But I think, when Kalen DeBoer got asked, as we're talking earlier today,
Right.
what does the addition of Ryan Grubb mean? He said, well, it surrounds me with another layer of trust, which kind of goes over people's heads. It gets dismissed as coach speak. But
Right.
someone watching, you may work in construction, insurance sales, whatever. Imagine saying, we just added someone to the organization. I feel an added layer of trust around me.
Right.
There's no way that doesn't help you do your job better. And so then the follow-up questions are, can you get after the quarterback? Can you run the ball?
Right.
Georgia and Alabama both not being able to run the ball consistently last year was sort of like a shot to the senses.
Yeah.
A little bit. They probably got the best DB room in the conference. I think they could have the best receiver room in the conference, but it comes down to third down, 1 possession games, and can you win on the road? Because the Oklahoma result last year was a very
Egregious.
shocking result.
Right.
And that comes the same year you blow out LSU on the road.
Right.
So consistency is key for them.
All right, finally, we got to bring it back home, Josh. What makes our area so unique? You started everything, your career in our area, and you touch on Alabama and Georgia border. So you got Alabama, Georgia, Auburn you can hit on. What makes our area so unique in the Tri-City?
I could take the map of the United States, and I kid you not, I've said this many times. I was speaking in Eugene, Oregon last year, and someone asked me about growing up, similar to what you just talked about.
Right.
And I said, all right, I want you to take a map, pretend like your goal growing up is to cover college football. And I want you to circle Columbus, Georgia, and I want you to look at what you're in proximity of. You've got Georgia, you've got Alabama, you've got Auburn. Clemson and South Carolina are drivable. Both Florida and Florida State are drivable.
Right.
That, to me, people talk about Atlanta being the heart of the SEC, which, okay, it is.
Right.
Columbus is an hour 10 down the road.
Right.
And it's in a situation where, we happen to reside in a market that gives opportunity. You've got opportunity in radio if you pursue it. You've got opportunity in local media.
Right.
You've got a cooperative university and a cooperative broadcast journalism, communication type infrastructure there. So it is the most underrated place by 10 miles in the United States,
right,
just geographically, to be if you want to cover this sport for a living.
Can I tell you what's the biggest growing market in the Columbus area? It's Harris County, which you're from. By the way, Harris County athletics is growing. We're glad that we've been able to cover them, and obviously they're very proud of you being an alumni. So I had to shout out Harris County. This is a Harris County graduate right here, baby. And we've been seeing some of your highlights. I don't know if we've been posted it, man. You probably wondering, where did this come from? I didn't know I had highlights,
I didn't
man.
know they existed. I have now put out an APB for more.
Yes.
I'd love to see. It felt good. It felt good. I'd love to feel more good about that.
Right. Josh Pate, baseball stud at Harris County. Final thing, Josh, for not only young broadcaster, I want you to speak like I was when I was at 21 years old, yourself or anybody else out there from our area, they look up to you, okay? They think, if Josh can do it, why can't I? And I think that means a lot to you, man. So give your advice to young and upcoming broadcasters, man.
Well, the first thing is define your purpose. Make sure you love it is the first thing. And then the second thing is define what you're talented in doing, define your passion, and make sure wherever they overlap, make sure this is where it is. It may be that you're called to do something completely different.
Right.
If you find that you're called to do this, then the next biggest and probably at that point most important question is, why would anyone care what you have to say? Because someone asked me that once upon a time and I didn't have an answer.
Right.
That meant I wasn't ready yet. Because if I couldn't tell you why anyone would care what I had to say, it means there's probably not going to be an audience for what I have to say. But if you can define that, and then you're comfortable knowing I may not even get my footing for 7 or 8 years, but it's worth it because you're passionate about it and you love it. And so it's not really work to you anyway.
Right.
And you've got a good circle of support, which I was very blessed to have had.
Right.
It's there. It's all there.
No matter how big you've gotten, you've always answered the phone for me. That same conversation you asked me 3 years ago, and it's really helped me grow Georgia, Alabama Sports Live, Sportsvisions. Josh, thank you so much for your time, man. We're on the road with Sportsvisions, SEC Media Days. We'll be back after this.
Hello, everybody. This is DJ Jones with the Sportsvisions Morning Show for the best in local, regional, and national sports news. Weekdays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
You can find the Sportsvisions Morning Show on Facebook, YouTube. Also, you can listen to us on Apple and Spotify by typing in the Sportsvisions Morning Show, and download the Sportsvisions radio app right now in your app store today.
Sportsvision 92.1. We are your hometown sports guys.
And welcome back. We are on the road with Sportsvisions 92.1 FM in Columbus, live from the College Football Hall of Fame. And I'm here with a very popular radio personality that love your show. It's Jake Crain from Crain and Company, and also local product from the Chattahoochee Valley as you play baseball at Opelika. Jake, how long you been part of SEC Media Days, and what do you look forward to most when you come here to SEC Media Days?
Well, first off, it's really good to see you, my friend. Good to see you in person. Always enjoyed coming on your stuff. This is my, 5th SEC Media Day, or actually 4th. It's kind of ruined for me because the first year that I did, because I haven't been in media that long, the first year I did it, it was when the news broke that Texas and Oklahoma were joining the SEC.
Right.
And it was just insane. It was like a U2 concert in here. People were just going nuts. So we haven't had anything crazy like that. But, my favorite part about Media Day, other than just getting to see everybody and everybody's kind of in one place, is it's a mile marker toward the season, right? Like we know when we go to Media Day, we are literally, 40 days away from kickoff when all the talking can finally calm down about preseason stuff and we can actually see guys play on the field. So, yeah, I'm excited for it, man. I always enjoy it. And they've College Football Hall of Fame's where we started doing the J-Boy show out of. So it's kind of like a full circle moment a little bit coming back.
All right, Jake, your show, Crain and Company,
Yeah.
widely entertaining, so funny, so much chemistry with David Cohn and your brother Blaine Crain, and there's really no topic that's out of bounds. So you'll take a topic and you're not going to apologize for it. One thing that's so great about that show, it's unfiltered, but it's also real because there are some topics out there people are just afraid to talk about.
For sure.
Talk about how you started Crain and Company. Obviously, your brother Blaine, and then David Cohn, who actually was a quarterback at Statesboro and went on to go play at Michigan. You just talk about the relationship you have with David Cohn and obviously your brother Blaine.
Well, first off, thank you for the compliments. We love doing it. To be honest with you, the way it started was basically by accident. I still think I'm actually in a coma, like right now. like I'm gonna wake up in a hospital, like some semi truck hit me on some recruiting trip when I was coaching. But no, dude, I coached 10 years in college, 6 at the Division I level, and when COVID hit, I was up in Montana coaching, and they kind of sent everybody away. They shut down the campus for a little bit. And so I'm waiting to get called back up there. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go buy a $50 mic and just start recording some stuff to pass the time. And so, I didn't even know what good was. I thought Joe Rogan was good. If you didn't get 1 million views, it sucked. So, the first one I put out there got 20,000 listens in the first 3 days. I'm like, that sucks. I'm like, that's so bad or whatever. But long story short, I do a couple more. They keep getting more and more. I'm starting to get calls from podcast companies like, hey, do you know that the J-Boy Show's #2 on Apple right now? And I thought it was a joke. I thought one of my players were joking with me. So I end up deciding that I'm going to try this out and see how it goes. I'm young enough to get back in coaching, and it's taken off. I can't, like, timing is everything, and it's we started out just independent. It was just me, wasn't my brother or David Cone. I didn't even know who David Cone was. I thought he was the pitcher who pitched for the Yankees and the Mets.
Yeah,
technically
I
he still is. But the crazy thing is, I started out with just me. Some investors moved me down here to Atlanta. They wanted to put it on video. Well, the guy that owned the video production company was David Cone. So David Cone was actually the camera guy for the J-Boy show, and my brother would just hang out. So we got together one day. We signed our 6-month deal with Colin Cowherd and the Volume, and the first day when we go live, I was like, hey, man, why don't we just have Cone and Blaine live on the show? They can be like kind of the Jamie to the Joe Rogan. But the way it's transformed beautifully, and like we all three now have like a solidified role. Killed it with Cowherd, ended up in renegotiation, coming to the Daily Wire. And yeah, talking about what our show is, like, we don't get very political. So don't think we're up there talking about immigration bills or anything. But when it comes to certain topics like, men and women's sports and stuff like that, we're going to tell you what we really think at the end of the day. And I think we're missing a lot of that from media, where people say what they think other people want them to say, not what they really think. So we love doing it, and hope to work's beating in the steel mill, that's for sure.
And by the way, one of my favorite segments on your show is when David Cone has the "Get Off My Lawn."
Oh, yeah.
Because there are so many topics out there that we have an opinion on. That There are people in the media that are just they're scared to talk about, but there's nothing out of bounds with you guys. I do want to talk about the SEC in general, because 16 teams now with Texas and Oklahoma. First time in Atlanta in a couple of years. I know it was in Dallas last year. So far, how's it been? So far we've seen Florida, and then I know Oklahoma's going to speak next, and we got 4 more teams tomorrow. But what has been your takeaway so far with the coaches and the players getting ready for the upcoming college football season?
Well, my biggest takeaway is, Arch Manning is the Justin Bieber of college football. This dude walked in and it was just swarmed to almost.
He's a rock star.
It's incredible. I think my biggest takeaway would be, I think the coaches and players have mastered the art of saying a lot of words, but absolutely saying nothing. Like, it's impressive. And I get it, from the coaching side of it, I get it. You don't want to cause any problems. You don't want to, do what I call pull a Thomas Castellanos. And then from the standpoint of the media, you're like, hey, say something juicy. But, as far as talking, we interviewed Shane Beamer the other day, and I think Shane is just really, really fired up about the team that he has returning, even though they got to replace a lot in the front seven. But the confidence is always high at media day. Nobody's lost yet or realized they're bad yet.
Well, Jake, I want to take it back to your days at Opelika, obviously, because we cover the Chattahoochee Valley. You played baseball at Opelika. Yeah. What is special about the Chattahoochee Valley as far as the atmosphere of college football? You're not too far from Auburn, not too far from Georgia and Alabama, and those are the 3 schools we mainly cover in the Columbus market. But just talk about that atmosphere growing up in Opelika and rooting for college football.
Well, the best way I can describe it is, with that area, the whole area you described, we're a very intense people. Like, we love what we love, right? Like, when it comes to college football, you can go anywhere in the world. Soccer in Europe, whatever the heck they do in China, I don't know. But nobody cares about sports and local sports more than us. And it's not just the colleges. It's the support that we got, support that Auburn High School gets. It's just, we love our sports, we love our food, and we love the lake. Those are the 3 things I know, at the end of the day. But I loved growing up there. I had such a fantastic childhood. The people are amazing. And I just think we just do everything better. Sorry, that's the best way I can put it. Again, sorry, not sorry.
Well, Jake, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on the Sportsvisions. And definitely, I'll enjoy watching the rest of your show and have the great rest of your time here at SEC Media Days.
It's great to see you again, brother. You're doing a great job. Appreciate you having me. 334 to the death of me. Never forget it.
All right, that's Jake Crain from Crain and Company. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, Thrift and I are going to wrap it up. It's On the Road with Sportsvisions, live from SEC Media Days. We'll be back after this.
Hello, everybody. This is DJ Jones with the Sportsvisions Morning Show for the best in local, regional, and national sports news. Weekdays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
You can find the Sportsvisions Morning Show on Facebook, YouTube. Also, you can listen to us on Apple and Spotify by typing in the Sports Visions Morning Show, and download the Sports Visions radio app right now in your app store today.
Sports Vision 92.1. We are your hometown sports guys.
Welcome back here, SEC Media Days on the road with Sports Vision 92.1 FM, Thrift, Barringer, Richard Holdridge. We've had an incredible day today. Thank you to everyone that was a part of our coverage, from Jack Patterson to Jonathan Hoppy, former WTVM news director, of course,
Mike
Tony
G.
Reese, Mike G, Drew Pavon, and then we were able to get with guys like Jake Crain and Josh Pate, all a part of our coverage. So thank you so much to everyone here. We had a ton of fun, but more specifically, thank you to DJ Jones,
Thank you.
our mentor, for believing in us and getting us credentials and holding down the fort. For my third SEC Media Days, your first, blew it out of the water. We were felt taken care of. We felt important, especially in a landscape as big as this, and has this many people covering the sport. Everyone is on an equal footing. Everyone had opportunity to talk to all the coaches, the players, and everything else. So had a lot of fun here. What was your final thoughts, man?
Well, the Omni and the College Football Hall of Fame did a great job just taking care of us.
Right.
And we got all the resources that we need, and really seeing, if you missed like an interview, you're able to go back and see it because they videotaped everything. And this is just a great way to start the college football season. Now, I'll be honest with you, Thrift, I'm rooting for every single one of these coaches this upcoming season. I got to know them personally, just hearing what their state of the address is for the team. And I'm excited about SEC football. I mean, it can't get here any sooner. And we even have some Thursday and Friday night games for week one. You got Missouri on Thursday night. Auburn's taking on Baylor on Friday night. And then, oh boy, look that lineup week one for the SEC. I am so excited about the upcoming college football season, and especially the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, I think that is a great point, man. It is going to be a ton of fun this year. The conference is up for grabs. We get to make our vote, so I can't wait to see who are my top teams. I like Texas, Georgia, and Alabama, but don't sleep on Tennessee. Don't sleep on Florida, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Auburn. All teams are going to be very competitive. And then A&M and LSU, my sleeper right now, and it was the same one last year, is Garrett Nussmeier, Brian Kelly, and the LSU Tigers.
Did you cast your ballot?
I have not.
Yeah, I've already cast my ballot.
Richard casted his ballot before the ballot was even sent to him. He was so excited for that. We've had a ton of fun. Thank y'all so much for being a part of our coverage here at SEC Media Days. From Richard Holdridge, I'm Thrift Barringer, and as DJ Jones always says, keep your eye on the ball. We'll see you tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. live from the Sports Vision studios on Sports Visions 92.1 FM. On the road with Sports Vision, signing off from SEC Media Days. Thank y'all so much. Good night, everyone.